Hey YouTubers, Steven here. Okay, today I'm going to do a couple of videos actually. It's like 6 degrees out. Not real bad, but this time of year I have an older van. I don't know how good the antifreeze is in the coolant system. I know it's old because it looks yuck, and I worked in a rad shop for a number of years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rad cap off here. We're just going to test it. Just want to come off. Make sure that you weren't just running your car, you know, at the same time. Best way to check it when it's, you know, safe to open this. Come on over here and I'm going to show you. Just basically grab your top rad hose, and if you can squeeze it like this, nice and gentle, the pressure is not built up, so you're semi-okay to open it. And if you can hold your hand on it without it burning, that's another good sign, because when your rad system's under pressure and you go to open it, if this stuff sprays up on you, there's nothing worse than an antifreeze burn. I'd rather have a hot oil burn, you know, from a deep fryer than antifreeze. I mean, they're both oil based, but the antifreeze is super hot, and even if you run cold water, it doesn't stop burning. Another trick too, in the center here on your rad cap, you can put your finger on there. If you can't keep your finger on there, it's way too hot. So what I'm going to use, it's a little tester. This cost me $5 at Canadian Tire, and it measures the antifreeze quality, if you will, as far as what temperature it'll freeze at. So we just press the bulb, and we'll stick it down inside, and it'll just suck it up inside, just like this. And then we'll bring it out, hold our hose up, and basically we want to hold this level. Okay, so there's a little marker up here, we want to hold it level, and then this shows our degrees, if you will. So my antifreeze is showing that it'll freeze at minus 37 degrees Celsius or minus 35 Fahrenheit, which is actually pretty good, but the coloring in this you know, isn't really the greatest. And again, I don't know how old it is, so we're going to drain it out, we're going to put in some new stuff, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to do it yourself. Now, older vehicles, you'll see they advertise, you know, coolant flush or radiator flush. I don't recommend it. If you have an older system and you've got lots of heat going through your heater core, it's not plugged up, I wouldn't recommend doing it, because they're putting water under pressure in your system. If you have an older rad, you could end up having leaks in your rad. You could blow a seal in your water pump. You know, if your water pump hasn't been changed, it's original. Same as your heater core, you could develop a leak in that. So older vehicles with old equipment, I wouldn't recommend flushing it, just because it's going to be under pressure and you could end up having extra repair costs. For what we're doing, we just need to drain out the old antifreeze and put in some new stuff. So let's get this up on ramps and I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so now we're ready to drain. Okay, so this is the lower rad hose. Alright, it also feeds from the engine. So we're just going to take our pliers, grab a hold of our hose clamps, squeeze, and we're just going to pull it back out of the way. Sometimes it's easier said than done. There we go. This is the tricky part. So we really don't have a lot of space here where this cover is. So, we got our hose clamp off. Now, sometimes these seal on here pretty good. So we're just going to take a small flathead screwdriver and just gently work it up underneath the rubber and just kind of slide it along. But you don't want to do any twisting, prying, because you don't want to tear your rubber. You just want to slowly work your screwdriver along just to free it up just a little bit. and just follow along with the metal pipe. With this cover in the way, it's a little difficult, but I don't want to just take the cover right off. It's a lot of extra work, really. Now, most radiators actually have a drain plug. I tried mine first. For some reason, it's plugged up, so. And just slowly keep working. Screwdriver up inside. Alright, we're starting to get a little bit of liquid coming out. You want to make sure you've got a big pan, because the Caravans, they'll hold up to about 3 gallons of antifreeze. So you want to make sure that when you open this up, you've got a container that's going to be big enough to hold it. Because you don't want this spilling out in your yard and the environment, and because that's not good for the environment. So, let's see if we can get this hose off. There we go, just a little wiggle. When this comes out, it's gonna spray, so be ready for it. And it's just like that. Leave the system drain out, then we'll come back. Okay, so I've got the system totally drained out now, and I'm ready to put the new antifreeze in. One thing you should do while you have your rad cap off, just give the spring a little squeeze. Right? If you've got tension, you're probably okay, because these are set to open. Well, actually, this one here shows that it's set to open at 16 psi. So you just want to make sure that the spring has got some tension there. If there's no tension, buy a new rad cap. I think they're probably only like $6 or $7. Could be wrong, but still cheap. You want to make sure that, you know, your rad keeps the pressure and doesn't put antifreeze, you know, into your overflow bottle if it doesn't need to. So these are meant to have some tension on them. Quick, easy check while you got it open. And now we're going to put in our new antifreeze. I already have the hose put back on. We didn't need to show that process. And we're just going to slowly pour it into the top of the rad. Some cars are different. Some cars you just put it in the overflow. Alright, so we're going to pour it all in. Now the next step, antifreeze has to be mixed just right. Should be 50-50 or as close to 50-50 as you can. You don't want too much antifreeze, because then it becomes very corrosive. And will actually eat, you know, the components inside your coolant system. But you don't want it too weak, because then it'll rust out all your components and everything in your system. So we're going to fill this up with water, and then we're going to fill up our rad until it's full. Then we're going to start the engine, roll it down off the ramps, and we'll wait for it to warm up. So let's go get some water. I'm going to top up now with some water. And we're just about there. You'll hear lots of air bubbles coming through. Okay, it's just about full, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to start the van, we're going to take it down off the ramps, and we want to warm up the engine to operating temperature so our thermostat opens, we've got our coolant, you know, circulating through, and then we just want to top it up so that it's full. So let's get this and we'll come back. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Alright, so our thermostat just opened. I can now feel the heat coming through this pipe, through the top radiator hose. And as you can see, that's pretty much drained right down. And we're just going to top this up. So you'll see we're getting a few little air bubbles. And that's just warm to the finger. Alright, it's not extremely hot just yet. That's pretty much full, and I didn't quite use a whole gallon of water here. It's hard to see in this yellow container. Now we're gonna test our antifreeze and see what we've got. Well, looks like it hasn't quite circulated quite well enough yet. Alright, so thermostat's open. We're not getting that many air bubbles now out of this. So we're going to put our cap on. And the best thing to do, go for a drive. Go for a drive. Get your coolant, you know, circulating well and everything mixed up. I mean, it's not possible to get it all out of the system, but we've got all the most of the old stuff out. Lots of good new stuff in. Didn't quite use, you know, the full jug of water, which is fine. After we take it for a drive, you know, for a little bit, we can come back, we can test the coolant once it cools down a little bit. Make sure that you know, the freezing rating is or antifreeze rating is still, you know, really low, because especially in the northern climates like here in Nova Scotia, you know, we get some pretty cold days in the winter. But the last step to actually make sure that, you know, you've done right is to check and make sure you've got heat. Alright, so we're just gonna put our heat on, and wow, there's a lot of heat coming out of that. So we're gonna be good for the winter. Whew, turn that off. Alright, so thanks for watching. You know, changing your antifreeze really is that easy. Basically what I'm gonna do with the old stuff, I'm gonna empty out the water from the jug. I'm gonna fill it into that. I have a couple extra jugs that I've been saving. I'm gonna put it into that as well. Drop it off at a local service station that takes used motor oil and antifreeze. There's also your hazardous waste depots. Check your local listings. You should have one. Here in HRM, we have one out in Bears Lake if you're not familiar with it, and they're open most days of the week, and you can actually check on the halifax.ca website for the schedule. And if you have any questions, be sure to put it in the comments or send me an inbox. And thanks for watching.